if you could just give us a brief introduction, how long in the business, and tell them what you were doing before.
Yeah, let's get it. Thanks for having me on today, Brandon. I work in Dallas, Texas, and I got my license in summer of 2022. So it's been, I guess, 2.5 years now. I went full time in right before summer of 2023. So I guess I've only been full time for about a year and a half. Joined the coaching program in March of 2024, and it's been great. I'm sure we'll break all that down. Before real estate, I was a middle school and high school orchestra teacher for 5 years. A lot of fun.
That's awesome. And how much are you earning as a teacher? I'm curious.
Yeah, so probably around like $65,000.
Got it. And tell them how much you earned in 2024.
Oh, what is it? 236,000 gross.
So that's a little bit of an increase, eh? Something new, hopefully, that pays a little bit well than being a teacher. Would that be fair?
Yeah, and I'm not going to dog on teachers. We're
No.
dealing with some stuff in Texas right now that's really crazy, actually. But I'm just blessed to be in this position now.
Yeah, I mean, heck, dude, I think teachers are like the most underpaid profession. I was going to be a teacher, and it's sad how little they get paid for all that they do. So no, I'm not dogging on teachers whatsoever. It's quite the opposite. It's not fair what they earn. But here's the interesting thing. I did a little bit of math. Sam, you were so nice to send me your numbers before we met, and you prospected for 540 hours last year, and you made $236,000, which puts your average hourly rate of work to $438 per hour. And if we look at the highest paid jobs in the world based on an hourly rate, dermatologists were number one at $215 per hour, and anesthesiologists were number two at $150 an hour. Both of those need, 8, 10, 12 years of schooling and hundreds of thousands of dollars of formal education. But yet here you are, a salesperson earning double than those. How does that feel? And then we'll break down how you did it.
I mean, it's just amazing, right? Like when you're in a job like that and you're thinking about everything you got to pay for and what you want out of your life, what all that's going to cost, and the family you're going to have one day. It can be really overwhelming and stressful, which is probably why I would imagine most of us got in this business, because we had a dream and we needed the money to make that dream happen. So to be in a position now where I'm actually taking steps towards that and the numbers reflect that, it's just incredible.
Yeah. And the opportunity we all have, that's why I share your numbers, is there for you. So if you're here in the live audience watching this conversation with Sam, or you're going to watch the replay, you can make it happen in this business. That's why you got here. That's why we're all here, to Sam's point. Like you have an amazing opportunity. It doesn't matter what the housing market is. It doesn't matter what interest rates are. You have an amazing opportunity to make life-changing income, to create any lifestyle that you want, if you're willing to put in the work and get good at this. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So your business primarily comes via outbound lead generation. Is that fair?
100%.
And was there anything that you tried other than outbound in the beginning that maybe didn't work as well that you can share with the audience? Because sometimes, some people here in the inner circle are new to outbound and they've gotten maybe some business other ways. What did you try in the past first? And then what made you go all in on outbound?
Yeah, I love the way you teed that up. So I tried farming neighborhoods with direct mail postcards. I tried doing some open houses. I even tried door knocking. Now, all three of those strategies are completely viable, but to Brandon's point, I was not all in on those. When I made the decision to go all in on outbound prospecting, and I really committed to it and only did that and focused on mastering it, everything changed.
Yeah. Why did you decide to go all in on this versus something else, out of curiosity?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple things, right? I felt like it was the least amount of competition in terms of, well, there's a million realtors out there that post on social media all day, beg their friends and family members for listings, and go knock on doors. But most of the realtors I know in my market are like man, I'm not ever cold calling. I'm good on that. I'll do anything but that. So I thought that if I went all in and got really good at that, it'd be an opportunity to get a step ahead of everybody else.
Fair enough. All right. So let's break down the business. So before I say the number I'm going to say, I'm going to ask the live audience that to take a seat, hold on to something, because I'm afraid that if I say what I'm about to say, that someone might faint, pass out, fall over, like they always do. And that is, last year you spoke with 5,400 human beings about selling real estate. So who in the world are you talking to? Like 5,400 conversations in 1 year? I mean, no wonder you're doing as well as you are. But let's break down the who, and then we'll break down the what and the how. So who are you focused on? What sources of business are you calling?
So obviously expireds and canceleds, that's probably where most of my business comes from. For sale by owner, for rent by owner, and then downsizer lists. That was my 4 lead sources for 2024. This year I've added probate to that.
Got it. Okay. And so on average, what does that break down per day? Is that about 20 to 30 conversations per day?
Well, in 2024, it was about 30 conversations a day for those numbers we're talking about.
Yeah, that's awesome. And is that where you're at currently, or have you increased or decreased that?
No, I'm at 50 now. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some days if I've got 2 appointments, I might not make it to 50, but I'm doing bare minimum 40 contacts a day. There's days I'm going over 50. And I hope my role play partners are on here because I have to pay Corrales $100 every week. I don't get 250 contacts for the week. And I've already had to do that once. That sucked.
Wow. So 40 to 50 contacts a day in a world where when most agents are newer to prospecting, they're like, I can't get anybody to pick up the phone and I can't do this and I can't do that. What can you share right here, right now, that has helped you to increase contact rate where you're actually talking to 40 to 50 people every single day?
Yeah, so it's extremely lead source dependent. If you're going to be calling people like cancels, expired, FISBOs, the highest competition, you got to be the first voice because I have my MLS set up where I get an email notification when a listing gets canceled off the market right away. And so I'll just look them up. I'm calling them right then. If I don't get them then, I'll do them the next day. FISBOs, I have a Zillow email that sends me whenever a new for sale by owner becomes available. And then I'm calling them right then because the longer you wait, the less likely it is they pick up the phone.
Love it. So you've got an alert to set you up on what we call the low-hanging fruit for FISBOs, expired, cancel, withdrawn, so that you can be the first voice, because we know that if you're not the first voice, like you said, the likelihood of you even having that conversation, let alone a decent conversation, getting a lead or an appointment is very, 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 very low. Okay. Now, when we're talking about lead sources, you've added now probate. And so I would imagine that you're not having 40, 50 conversations a day with just expireds or just for sale by owners. You know, what is the makeup of those contacts? Like, what does your distribution of conversations look like?
Yeah, I already showed you this, man. You're teaming me up so great today. Appreciate it. So this is my new contract distribution. And I've kind of noticed that since I made this, I kind of have a hard time getting the 10 expireds on a lot of days. So, I may take some of those and put it in a different lead source, but generally I try to stick to this because what I noticed previously, and I made a post about this, somebody helped me out. Thank y'all. I was getting a lot of contacts, but a lot of them were just people on the street who the likelihood of them wanting to sell was really low, or for rent by owners where it's a lot of opportunities for lease listings, but I need more now business. So doing that contract distribution has helped out a lot with that.
So has that also helped out with getting over the boredom of making the calls? Is it allow you to focus and become more productive because you say, okay, I just need 10 conversations and then I can switch lead sources and have a completely new conversation with maybe less competition, maybe easier conversations with less rejection, et cetera, et cetera. Does breaking the 30, 40, 50 contacts up a day the way that you're doing it, has it helped with all of that?
100%, because then it doesn't feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna call for 4, 5, 6 hours today. Rather than that, calling, it's each lead source is its own thing. So mentally, I can kind of flip a switch. And Brandon, I got to give you credit for this. You asked me to buy one of these timers. I keep this on my desk and I set it for 45 minutes. I call that lead source for 45 minutes. And then I do a 15-minute time break at the end of that. Because at one point I was just going nonstop. That was insane. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's difficult. So I would say that now coaching over 6,000 agents, that the number one thing that determines one's success or failure, you guys are going to want to focus now. This is the one thing, and it's a huge, huge, huge secret. Wink, 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 wink. Is consistency, right? The ability to do this day in and day out. Like, it is by far the plague that most agents have. And so, like, how have you been able to break through that? Because it is literally the 80-20 principle. 80% of the people can't be consistent. They do it once in a while. They never get any momentum ever. And you've broken through to the 20%. How? Like, what kind of, because it's all mindset, yeah? I mean, yeah, we're going to talk about skills. We're going to talk about processes. Fine. That's what people think it is. And I know, Sam, you'd probably agree with that. But it isn't. It's all mindset first. So what can you share with the live audience right now around your mindset when it comes to taking action every single day, even on the days you don't feel like it?
A day not prospected is a day not worked. Simple as that. If I have a day when I don't prospect, I don't care if I go on 5 listing appointments, right? It doesn't matter, because that's going to feed me right now, sure. But if I don't prospect, there's going to come a day in the future when I'm starving. I have to prospect. And that's number one above everything else, which is why I start my day with it, because nothing can get in the way if I do it first thing.
That's right. I mean, it's the fuel of our career. And so I love that what you just said. It's like, if you're not doing that, you didn't work that day, because that is the job. That is the job. Everyone got their license because they thought they were going to sell houses. It's only later that they found out, no, the job is actually prospecting for buyers and sellers. You spend the shortest amount of time actually working with clients in this business. And to your point, the most amount of your time, in your case, over 500 hours of you last year spent looking for business. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I mean, I can pay some random newbie agent to go show a home for me just as well as I can. But that agent is not going to be able to convert a lead on the same skill amount that I can. So I got to put my time into where I have the highest likelihood of getting paid and helping people.
That's right. That's why most agents go and work for agents like you, because they can't lead generate. They can't get clients. They can't generate leads, but they're fine to do the client work, which is what they thought they were going to get in the business of. Okay, so let's talk about leads per day. So if you're having between 40 and 50 conversations a day, how many leads, by definition, thank you cards are you sending out per day?
Well, per day for 2024, it was about 2 leads a day. Now, obviously, there's days when I've got a whole handful of leads, which is great. And then there's other days, man, I can't tell you how many days I had last year. I'd call for hours, get 40, 50 contacts and 0 leads. But I will also add this as a stipulation, because some of you guys are like, oh my God, this guy's a psycho right now. Part of that is because I really work on disqualifying my leads, because I would rather spend time top of funnel looking for new opportunities than following up with dead leads that are never going to do business with me. So because of that, my leads are lower than some of you guys, but my follow-up, I would probably bet, is better than a lot of you guys.
Yeah, it's great. So speak to that. That was actually my next question. So let's talk about the technique of disqualifying, or the skill of disqualifying, so that people in the audience know what you're talking about. And what you're talking about is going from a world of stuffing anybody with a pulse into your CRM or database and calling them a lead, and then chasing them down, and they never pick up your calls ever, and they avoid you, to what you're talking about, which is having a mindset and an approach of high quality conversations, of disqualification. What does that mean for Sam, and what does that look like or sound like?
Yeah. So 2 things there. So one thing that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, so to speak, is the people I'm adding to my database every day. Because there's a handful of people every day who I'm like, I don't know, this guy doesn't sound like a lead, but he's still open to interviewing me at some point in the future if he does move. So I'll take their email and add them to my database. I'm not doing a great job of tracking those, but that's something to be considered. To me, if I'm putting them down as a lead, it means I'm investing money and time into them. And those are really important resources. So I guess the second part of your question was, what does that follow up look like with the lead?
Well, yeah, thank you. So I hope everybody got that. You're getting both. You're getting what we would call opt-ins. Okay, this is really important. Half the live audience here is like walking the cat. They don't even pay attention, but they miss all the good stuff, right? So half of those, or a big portion of those, are people you're just adding to a passive email database, which could turn into business over time. You're growing that audience, if you will. And then you're actually focused on the really good quality leads. My second question is, what are you saying, or what questions are you asking, or how do you disqualify
Yeah.
to differentiate who just goes on the email list, who never gets a call again, versus who you're going to invest time, energy, and effort following up with over time?
Okay, I understand. So I'm the one volunteering all the reasons why they're not going to do business with me. I'm playing offense so they don't put me in a position to play defense.
Oh
And
my gosh, I wish I had a mic drop. Boom. Say that one more time. The whole thing, I'm going to copy this from you, Sam, just so you know I'm going to steal that whole thing, what you just said. Rewind, say the whole thing again.
yeah, like Blockbuster, right? I think what I said was I'm the one volunteering all the reasons why they're not going to do business with me because I want to play offense so that they don't put me in a position to play defense.
I love it. And so what does that mean? What does it sound like? Should we role play it? Are there questions that you ask? Is there a script that you follow? Is there an approach that you follow? Like, can you give us context of what that actually means?
Yeah, we can role play it. Why don't we just do an expired?
Yeah. You want to start from the get go, or like when we're in the middle of the call?
Yeah, we'll just get right in the middle of it. Yeah, so Brandon, I know you guys are maybe still open to moving to Florida, but I get the feeling even if you did look at that in the future, you're probably just going to call the same agent, aren't you?
Um, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We just haven't decided yet. I mean, we haven't made any decisions there just yet.
Hey, it totally makes sense. And I mean, you mentioned that you guys didn't really have any serious offers. Have you maybe thought about just renting it out instead? Wouldn't that be easier?
We've thought about it. Yeah. There's no way that we can manage the move to Florida and being a landlord on top of it. There's just no way we could do that.
Okay. Well, why not just stay put then? I mean, because you're right. That does sound like it would be a headache to be a landlord. And I mean, obviously the home didn't sell this time. I mean, just stay put for a few years and wait till the market gets better, right?
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I mean, we've considered that too. It's just, we can't. We have to make this move to Florida. If it was an option to stay here, we absolutely would entertain that. And unfortunately, right now, because we do love the home, it's just not an option.
Okay. I think I see your point. Well, then, I guess, Brandon, before I let you go, can I ask you a really transparent question?
Yeah, sure. Fire.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If there was a way that you guys actually could sell the home, get the price you wanted, and get down to Florida without having to deal with sitting on market and having a bunch of showings with no offers again, I mean, be honest, that's not something you'd like explore, is it?
I am so impressed, genuinely. And the reason for that is this, that you can hear who's doing the selling. The reason Sam got me to be the one who does the selling is by his ability to ask disqualifying questions. We call this reverse presumptive language. I can't believe your mastery of this, truly, not just because we're doing a recording, but your skill level has grown so much. How in the world have you built that confidence and that ability to articulate so clearly that maybe someone's watching this saying, gosh, I can't do that. I can't do what Sam just did. Talk to us. How did you get to that point?
Yeah, listen, I'm gonna go a little different on this one. So we can talk about going through the course, we can talk about role playing, we can talk about practicing. I'm gonna assume you're already doing those things, and that's a big assumption. That's a huge assumption. If you are and you're still feeling that way, here's the real secret. I was on a prospecting call with my role play partners this morning. I unmuted because I had a call with an expired who he came off the market about a year and a half ago. I interviewed for the job afterwards, and he didn't hire me. He ended up going with another agent. So two other agents, I would be agent number three. Well, I finally got him back on the phone today, and he remembers me because I've been following up with him and these kinds of things. And during the course of the call, I remember the reason why I didn't get the listing before was because he basically felt like my value wasn't worth the commission he was going to pay. So I lost on commission. Well, the listing expired again. So to me, this is the golden opportunity. Hey, you hired a discount broker and it didn't sell. Would there be any downside to inviting me on and taking a second look at this? Well, he was giving me every objection in the book on commission again. I pulled out my calculator and I asked him, hey, by the way, what's your mortgage payment? And he told me, and I was like, okay, and you were on the market 120 days. I did the math and I was like, if you would have just paid a full service agent who actually could have got the job done, your net would have been better than where you're at right now, having to start over. But you're telling me you still won't hire an agent for a full fee, even if that meant you could actually sell the home and cut the cord. And he kept giving me objections, and I told him, listen, I'm going to be honest. It's a no from me. If you want to call me and you're open to having a conversation with a full commission to get the home actually sold, you can call me. For now, I'm going to delete your number.
Amazing, amazing. And the process for those of you that are just newer to, because what we're teaching here is some advanced selling techniques. There's no doubt about it. But what Sam is talking about right now, and it is legendary, is disqualifying is just what he said. It's you playing offense, bringing up all the reasons that most prospects give you anyways first before they bring it up, and you're seeing which one of them are actually arguing against you and telling you you are wrong. That's the only way you can generate high quality business, in that somebody doesn't say, well, we're going to wait till the market gets better, and then you try to convince them why they should. Or they tell you we already have an agent and you can try to convince them as to why they should interview you. Or they say why they're going to hire somebody that charges less commission, and then you try to convince them why they shouldn't. You see, we're the ones playing offense, to Sam's point. We're bringing up all the reasons why they wouldn't hire us and letting the prospect to say, no, that's actually not true. I would consider hiring you knowing that you're not the cheapest agent. No, that's not true. We are selling now, regardless of the market. It's a huge different way of communication, which I think, Sam, you probably tell us it has helped you to generate higher quality opportunities. Fair?
Yeah, and I just think it goes back to detachment. Like, this is one of the very first things you teach in the program. But to be honest, it takes a lot of time and practice and going on like really bad appointments before you really start to understand, I don't want to waste all this time making these calls of people that are never going to hire me, going on these bad appointments. That's time you could be looking for other business. So when I'm doing the disqualifying thing, it's not just because Brandon taught me to do that. It's because I don't want to waste my valuable time on opportunities where there's not one. And the only way that I can truly detach from that is by doing a ton of prospecting.
That's right. And so you've created not a to-do list, you've created what we call a not to-do list. In other words, you've done so much prospecting, you know exactly what not to do, and you're following that list, which is helping you build a really successful business. And then to your point of detaching from the outcome, what you've learned is that if someone's not going to do business with you, you just want to find out now versus chasing them for months and months and months and months and months, which is what most agents do. Is they live off like the most addictive drug in this business called hopium. They just hope that they're going to get one, and they just chase and chase and chase and follow up and follow up and follow up and voicemail after voicemail after voicemail, just to find out later, oh yeah, honey, we sold that property a couple months ago with Joe at Remax. It's like, yeah, because you're unwilling to ask good questions that lead to the truth. All right, let's move on to the next step. So you're disqualifying, you're getting really good leads. Talk to us now about follow-up, what you're doing in follow-up that leads you to be able to set good, high-quality listing appointments.
Fantastic. So in terms of follow-up, I really made this a focus in Q3 and Q4 because I do a lot of prospecting, but a lot of those weren't converting into opportunities. So the change that I made was when I'm doing my follow-up, it's not just call them on a Monday, text them on a Friday. That's like the bare minimum, you could say. What has worked for me is changing up what that looks like. So on a Monday, there might be a day I call them. If they don't answer, I'll double dial. And then on a Friday, instead of just sending a text, hey, if you need anything over the weekend, feel free to reach out. Have a nice weekend. That's okay sometimes, but then there's other Fridays where I'll do like a Loom video on, hey, this home in your neighborhood just sold, and did you see they were only on market 4 days? I was curious for your thoughts on that one. A lot of times when I send like videos like that or a selfie video of me talking about something like that, I'll get a response because that's providing value. I'm essentially working for free to give them the experience of what it's going to be like to have me as their agent. And that's converted a lot of them at a higher clip.
Again, here's another agent coming on this podcast saying the exact same thing as other top listing agents. Be their agent before they've hired you to be their agent so that when they're ready to hire an agent, they hire you to be their agent. Hopefully you got that. Okay, that's the key to lead follow-up. It's to serve them such that they feel as though you're already their client. So it only makes sense for them just to continue getting that level of service. So lead follow-up cannot be automated. It's not a check in the box. It's very custom. It's very well thought out. It's very creative. And I love what you're doing. All right. Now, talk to us about the presentation. We're going to go for five minutes here. And then if you guys have questions for Sam, okay, you guys can start to raise your Zoom hands and I'll start to get you guys unmuted. So we talked about lead generation. We talked about disqualifying. We talked about lead follow-up. Now we're at the meeting, the listing presentation. What are maybe one or two things that you've learned to do that's really helping you to win the business and the business that you want, not just any business?
Hey, Brandon, can you call me real quick? And I want you to put my phone on speaker. And before you do this, let me tee this up.
Sure.
A lot of you guys are getting the, what are you going to do to sell my home objection? When I get that objection, this is different. I asked them, yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up. And before we get into that, can you just remind me real quick how we met? And they're like, yeah, you cold call me. And I'm like, that's exactly right. And every single day between 8 a.m. and noon minimum, I'm on the phone looking for buyers for my sellers and sellers for my buyers. And by the way, have you ever gotten my voicemail? Usually they say no. And I say, do me a favor and call me real quick. Can you do that? And put it on speaker.
Hey, this is Sam, Realtor with Compass. If you're calling me between the hours of 7:30 a.m. and 12 p.m. noon, Monday through Friday, I'm on the phone working hard for my buyers, looking to find homes to purchase, and my sellers looking to find buyers for their homes. So I'll get back to you during my administrative time between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you're reaching on a weekend, I'll make every effort to get back to you as soon as possible. It will be Monday at the latest. If you need something urgently, please send me a text message and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks so much.
Absolutely incredible. Did that come through clearly?
Yeah, no, it sounded good on my end. And I know that's a long-winded voicemail.
That's great.
I feel bad for all the buyer's agents trying to call me to get my voicemail. The reason why I do that is because after I do that demo on the presentation, it communicates to my future client, yeah, okay, this guy's got his shit together.
Well, you're showing, not telling. Do you see how valuable that was for you guys watching the content? Instead of Sam saying, here's what I'm doing, he said, let me show you what I do. And you got to experience it. That's a big difference of demonstrating versus telling. It's so strong. Okay, so that makes a ton of sense. And then is there anything else at the listing presentation, a mindset, an approach, a belief that helps you show up the way that you want to show up to win clients the right way without desperation and neediness?
Yeah, so a lot of it is just prefacing, hey, look, I'm not the agent for everyone. I don't know if I'm right for you. You don't know if you're right for me. And literally voicing that during the appointment so you can truly detach because yes, you're interviewing them as well. So like when I'm getting those red flags, or if I get the feeling they might not be the right person for me, I'm gonna like bring that up rather than just hoping things work out, or man, I hope I get this listing and I'll deal with it later. I want to have that tough conversation right then from the very beginning. And not only does that make things easier for me and make sure that I get good listings I'm going to be able to sell, it's communicating to the seller, okay, he's not afraid to like really bring things up, get right to the point and confront people. Because I'm the one that's representing their home to the buyer's agents and to the buyers. If I'm skirting their difficult questions when they're interviewing our home for their client, what kind of job would I be doing as their agent?
So strong. So number one, you said equal business status. if I'm taking notes. Number one, super important. In other words, the decision to move forward is equal. It's us deciding together. It's not you, the listing agent, going there to give a dog and pony show, and they sit back with their arms crossed eating popcorn, making all the decisions. Number one. Number two, you're interviewing the seller as much as they're interviewing you. And then number three, the ability to confront the seller. Confrontation is facing the truth head on. This is what one of my mentors told me earlier on. Okay, I'll say that again. Confrontation is dealing with the truth head on. And that is what sellers need. And so many agents are so afraid to confront the seller because they're worried that if they confront the seller, that they're going to lose the listing. And so they end up with listings that later they regret having, with nightmare clients. Amazing, Sam. So let's open this up for some Q&A. So